Who should we have here, and who have we not got here?
You haven't got Imogen at the moment.
We should have me, John Kaiser, Prue, Gary Cowan. Has he any apologies from him?
Not received any, Chairman.
Gary Cowan. Graham Howe here. Imogen waited. Wayne. Sally is here. Roy Mantell not here. Okay.
Yes, Imogen.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, yes. Was I a few... I'm not late. It's got 1 minute.
You're not late. You're not late.
You're on time.
1 minute to go, you
know? So we've done the apologies. Minutes of the previous meeting. Any comments? Can I take those as read?
Yeah.
Hello, Roy. Good evening.
Evening.
Hello.
Any declarations of interest?
No.
No members of the public.
No questions of any description, Chairman.
No questions from the members or parish town council. Right. So the only substantive part of the meeting tonight is 7, unless somebody wants to raise something. Evening, Jenny. Which they think it might be urgent. I have nothing which is urgent. So unless they have it, maybe I'll hand over to Andrew and he can update us on where we are with the complaints and such like.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. So this is the normal update report. Since we last met.
Can I ask, can everybody else mute, please?
So, yeah, this is the last, update report since we last met on the 2nd of March. If I take you straight to the appendix, so the first 3 complaints on there, they were outstanding when we last met, but they've now been settled, and I won't go through that in detail. You can read those 3 for yourself, but happy to take any questions on those in a minute. Since we've last met, though, there are 3 new complaints, and I'd just like to take you through those because I do have an update since the agenda was actually published. So if I could take you first to the complaint that was received on the 4th of March. I've had the consultation meeting earlier today with the chair and with one of our independent persons. We've looked at that complaint and we've concluded that it didn't breach the threshold in terms of a code of conduct complaint. So both the complainant and the councillor concerned have been informed earlier today on the outcome of that one. If I move then to the complaint received on the 5th of March, this is a more complex complaint. Obviously, it's some time since we received the complaint. The reason for the delay has been in part because of COVID, but also in part because it's taken a little while for the subject member, i.e. the member who's been complained about, to actually get back to me with a response to that. Having said that, I had the meeting today with Councillor Housel and the independent person, and we've concluded that given the complexity of this one, that we need to commission a formal investigation into that. So that investigation will be commissioned very shortly, and I would hope that we can move on with that very quickly now, particularly as it's some time since the original complaint was received. And then the next one on your list there, received on the 4th of June. So this was, as it says in the text there, allegations about 2 councillors not following the social distancing rules. Again, today we looked at that with the chairman and the independent person, and again we concluded that this didn't meet the threshold with regard to any sort of breach against the code of conduct. I should say, since we went to print with the report, there has been one additional complaint received. I think it was last week. So that will be dealt with shortly. In the first instance, with an initial meeting with the chair and independent persons. I guess the only thing I'd just say by means of closing is, in terms of patterns or trends to watch out for, I think there's two things I'd say. One is we've got that pattern that we've identified before of the use of social media, and it does seem increasingly that members who use social media, as we talked about before, it can be really useful, but it's also something that the public in particular are looking at what members say on Facebook, Twitter, etc. So I'd welcome any views or comments about what we might do as a committee, what you might do as a committee with regard to the use of social media on top of what we're already doing. And then the second point I just make is, whilst there is only one formal complaint there about lockdown and social distancing, I have had other people contact me with regard to sort of concerns that have been raised around that. And again, I think it's something for councillors to be aware of in the current circumstances around COVID. Obviously, the rules are relaxing somewhat very, very shortly, but I think that's one just for the committee to be aware of. That was my report, Chairman, but happy to take any questions on anything I've said or anything else in the report.
Any questions from anybody? Prue.
Thank you. No.
We can hear you. No, not now, because you've turned yourself off. No, you've turned yourself off. You were absolutely perfect, but you've muted yourself. Prue?
Turn your microphone on, Prue.
Prue, you've muted yourself.
Now
stay. Lovely.
Yeah. There's a 10-second delay when you press it. I don't know why it is in Teams, but it takes forever, and then you don't know whether you pressed it or not. Sorry about that. I'll lower my hand as well. The issue I wanted to raise is about not so much the type of complaints, but the people who are complaining and their motives for doing so. Because I think we've been quite lucky that, unlike other areas of the country, we haven't had many complaints which are really, really just political nonsense. But I do detect recently a little bit of that happening. I don't think anybody who's actually a councillor is involved in that kind of thing. I mean, there'll always be a little bit, to and fro, whatever. But I do detect that some people outside the council are starting to play that game, and I wondered if Andrew had any thoughts on whether he thinks that might be going to happen and what we can do about it.
Before Andrew answers, in the last 15 months, 14 months, we've dismissed a huge number of complaints which are in the context of what you just said.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. I don't know how your life is at the moment, but I have a huge number of angry people being angry about all sorts of things which I've never expected people to be angry about. And I think it's just a feature of people being locked up for 4 months. There are a number of people who are locked up with iPads and they're angry as well. So I think it's where we are. But you're right, we should not allow the Standards Committee to be used for normal political bantering. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, well, I'd agree wholeheartedly with the chairman's comments there. I think it has obviously been a really difficult period for lots of people, and I think there is a sort of frustration that perhaps we're seeing some of those complaints coming through to us on the back of the sort of difficult few months that everybody has been through. I think all I'd say in terms of the officer receiving the complaints is in terms of differentiation, the only differentiation I would make is whether it's from a fellow councillor or whether it's from a member of the public. I think it's really difficult to go any further in terms of trying to identify any political motives or the like. But I certainly take the point that both Prue made and the chair made there, that it's something that we need to be aware of. And I think perhaps, and I hope perhaps you can see that the complaints that haven't gone any further, that I've just referred to this evening, shows that the system is working and we're not allowing the code of conduct process to be abused by spurious or totally politically motivated complaints.
No, I also note that the LGA is doing a consultation on code of conduct stuff, which is now open and runs till the middle of August. I don't know whether you'd pick that up.
I think that's possibly on the back of what we've looked at here previously,
right,
the Committee of Standards in Public Life.
Second iteration, yes, I think it might be. So I'm going to have a look at that at some point. I haven't looked at it yet, but that danger is always behind me. And in John saying lots of angry people, I've got one particular angry person at the moment, which is made a horrendous day yesterday over something that I hadn't actually done, which is a bit even worse. So it can be very difficult, and it's quite difficult for the person who's accused of something if it takes quite a long time to resolve it, if it is not a serious complaint. And I think if we can speed up dealing with things, it's been difficult the last few months because of lockdown and everything. So, but it's a hard time for somebody who's accused of something, whether they've done it or not, to live with that hanging over them.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
Yeah, hand up. I did put my hand up. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts. Speed is quite important. People can see something on Facebook in minutes, and it'll be everywhere. But the speed of getting a response is very slow. And I can say, John, if you've ever been a parliamentary candidate, those angry emails you get a lot more. I'm pretty sure you get loads, don't you, Prue? Loads and loads.
I wasn't necessarily referring to the angry emails. In my neck of the woods, where people have been cycling like horses for hundreds of years, pedestrians have decided to have wars with cyclists and vice versa, and it's entirely irrational.
Build cycle lanes.
But that's an example. All right. Anything else? Any more? Nope. Well, thank you very much.
Hang on a minute. Sally says. Sally's got her hands waving.
It's just a really tiny one.
Goodbye.
If I do that, nobody sees me. It's a very quick one. Do we know what timeline that public consultation will be for the updates to the Code of Conduct?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
it finishes, I think, on the 17th of August.
Okay, we'll certainly pick that up. Make sure if it's different to what we previously responded to, that we put a response together.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I thought we were going to. Was my maybe I've misunderstood when I reread the minutes. We made some decisions last meeting that it sounded like we were going out to consultation to others. Has that started? Because I haven't heard about it from elsewhere.
No, the consultation that we talked about in the March meeting hasn't happened yet for obvious reasons. I think we just need to look at when would be the appropriate time to launch that consultation. It's certainly not felt right over the last 2 or 3 months, but hopefully shortly we will be in a better position to start that now.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Any more? Okay, thank you very much for rolling up, and see you soon. Bye.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
I've got to find the ball to go out of here. There it is.
you.